3.7 million. That's the number of videos uploaded to this platform every single day. In the time it took me to say that sentence, another 200 hours of footage just entered the digital void. We're living through the great content collapse. A reality where the barrier to entry has vanished, but the barrier to attention? It's become a fortress. Most people look at these numbers and see an infinite goldmine. I look at them and see a graveyard. It's a graveyard of high-quality ideas. Think about the creator who spent $5,000 on a camera, weeks mastering lighting, and months learning to edit, only to be flatlined by an algorithm that doesn't care about your effort. Because the algorithm isn't a film critic, it's a mathematical gatekeeper. It doesn't value your passion. It only values one thing: engineering. When AI went mainstream, we were promised a shortcut, a way to level the playing field. But what actually happened was the commoditization of mediocrity. Everyone now has access to the same average brain. If you use a standard one-line prompt, you're essentially asking a machine to help you fit in. And in an ocean of nearly 4 million daily uploads, fitting in is the quickest way to stay invisible. It's digital suicide. You've seen the symptoms. AI generates scripts that feel uncanny, narratives that lack a pulse, intros that sound like a corporate brochure. This isn't just an aesthetic problem, it's a financial one. If your script fails to trigger a neural receptor in those first 10 seconds, your RPM doesn't matter, your lighting doesn't matter, because for the algorithm, you simply don't exist. To survive this collapse, you have to stop being a writer. Writers rely on inspiration, which is volatile. Architects rely on blueprints. After 6 months of dissecting the retention heat maps of the top 1%, I found a pattern. It wasn't about the topic, the gear, or the personality. It was about the hidden geometry of the script. Today, I'm giving the blueprint for a machine that builds authority on demand. These are the 3 pillars. The first pillar is what I call the contextual bedrock. Most creators treat AI like a search engine. They give it a topic and hope for the best. I treat it like a high-level consultant. I give it a worldview. If you don't define the boundaries, the large language model will default to its safest, most sterilized persona. It becomes a middle manager at a bank. In my Godmo framework, we use negative constraints. We don't just prompt, we censor. We explicitly ban words like delve, comprehensive, or unleash. Why? Because these are the fingerprints of a machine. By removing them, we force the AI to find visceral, human ways to express complex ideas. But the bedrock goes deeper. We inject persona DNA. You aren't just asking for an expert. You're demanding the urgency of a founder who just lost $1 million, or the clinical precision of a neurosurgeon. That shift in frequency is what makes a viewer feel like they're listening to a person, not a database. The second pillar is the geometry of retention. Let's be honest, content is a war against the skip button. Every 45 seconds, the viewer's brain asks, is there anything else? To win, your script needs anchors. These are systemic pattern interrupts baked into the logic of the script. In the Godmo system, we program these shifts directly into the prompt instructions. We tell the AI to finish a thought, and immediately sabotage it. For example, you state a powerful truth, like, this is the best way to grow on YouTube. And you immediately follow it with, but it's also the fastest way to get banned. That friction creates an open loop. An open loop is a psychological gap. The human brain is hardwired to seek closure. It physically cannot stop watching until that loop is resolved. When you engineer this at the scripting level, the editing becomes 10 times easier because the retention is already built into the words. The final pillar is variable injection. This is the bridge between AI-generated and AI-assisted. A generic prompt is a closed system. It can only give you what it already knows. A Godmo prompt is an open architecture. We use placeholders to inject raw, real-world data, industry jargon, specific case studies, and unique hot takes that only an expert in your niche would have. We're giving the AI a human proxy. Think of it like this: the AI provides the processing power, the engine, but you provide a high-octane feel. You're giving the missing pieces of the puzzle so it can connect them with its massive intelligence. The result isn't just a script, it's a high-retention asset that sounds like it was written by a top-tier consultant after weeks of research, delivered to you in exactly 60 seconds. This is how you reclaim your time without sacrificing your authority. Now, fear is useless without execution. Let's put the blueprint into practice. I'm deploying one of my architect prompts right now. Look closely at the construction. Notice what's happening here. I'm not just asking for a script about YouTube growth. I'm injecting the persona, the strict and negative constraints, and those specific retention anchors we just talked about. Watch how the AI responds. It's not outputting a generic list of top 5 tips. It's building a narrative arc. It's opening loops and using visceral punch language that grabs you by the throat. Look at this specific transition. The AI just challenged its own previous statement. That isn't a glitch. That is a pattern interrupt hard-coded in the prompt logic. This script is ready for production. Zero fluff, zero cringe AI metaphors. Just pure engineering. Now, the system works for this niche. But the reality is, every industry has its own neural frequency. A script for a SaaS founder doesn't sound like a script for a documentary channel. The underlying logic is the same, but the variables? They change everything. And let's be honest, engineering these prompts from scratch takes hundreds of hours of trial and error. That is time you should be spending on high-level strategy, not fighting with an LLM for a decent hook. That's why I spent the last few months refining these 4 specific architect prompts. This is the field manual, the exact templates I use to scale my systems and those of my private clients. From hooks that stop the scroll to full 10-minute technical scripts. If you want to stop guessing and start using the exact same God mode architecture just dissected, the link is waiting for you in the description. You can spend the next few weeks trying to reverse engineer this yourself, or you can skip the learning curve for the price of a few coffees. The choice is yours. Stop writing, start engineering. I'll see you in the next one.